Step inside and let your eyes adjust. There's no space to move freely. The ceiling is low. The walls hold heat and dust. Light comes from a single flame, barely strong enough to reach the corners. What you see isn't empty, it's limited. Everything here has a purpose because nothing extra exists. This isn't temporary. This is home. Multiple people share this space, not separated, not spread out, close. Every sound carries, every movement is felt. Privacy doesn't exist the way we understand it. Comfort isn't something you expect, it's something you learn to live without. And the day hasn't even started yet. Because this space isn't designed for rest, it's designed for survival. Sleep happens here. Work begins here. Food is prepared here. Life doesn't move between rooms. It stays contained within them. And that changes everything. Because when your entire world fits inside a single space, every problem becomes immediate. Every limitation becomes visible. And every day begins the same way. Not with ease, but with adjustment. So the real question isn't how they lived in comfort, it's this: how did families survive in a space like this? What did daily life actually look like inside these walls? And what happens to people when comfort is never part of the system? Nothing inside this home was separate. Space wasn't divided by comfort, it was defined by necessity. The same area where people slept became the place where food was prepared. The same floor where they gathered became the place where they worked. There were no dedicated rooms, no private sections, no boundaries between functions. Everything overlapped. And that wasn't poor design, it was the only design. Because space was limited and every part of it had to serve multiple purposes. During the day, movement filled the room, grinding grain, preparing food, repairing tools. By night, that same space shifted into rest, with nothing more than mats or cloth laid out where work had just happened. In many homes, even animals shared the structure, kept close not for comfort, but for protection and practicality. The home wasn't just shelter for people, it was part of a larger survival system. You can see traces of this in the accounts. As written in Luke 11, a household is described where movement at night is difficult because everyone is already lying down together. Space isn't flexible, it's fixed. Once the room settles, it stays that way. And that reveals something important. This wasn't inconvenience, it was compression. Because when everything happens in the same place, life doesn't expand, it tightens. And when life tightens like that, even small problems become unavoidable. Which leads to the next question. If space was this limited, then what did daily life feel like inside it? There was no distance inside this home. Not physical, not emotional, not practical. Everyone lived within reach of each other every moment of the day. You didn't step away to think. You didn't move to another room to reset. Life happened in full view all the time. Meals were shared from the same space, often the same bowl. Conversations weren't private, they were constant. Rest wasn't silent, it was layered with movement, noise, and interruption. And once the room filled, there was nowhere else to go. This wasn't just close living, it was continuous exposure. You can see it in the accounts. As written in Mark 2, a house fills beyond capacity, people pressing in, space disappearing completely. Not unusual, just intensified. The structure wasn't built for separation, it was built for gathering, even when that meant discomfort. And that changes how you understand daily life. Because when there is no distance, everything becomes immediate. Tension doesn't fade, it stays. Fatigue doesn't reset, it carries over. Even small discomforts don't disappear, they repeat. But they misunderstood something. This wasn't temporary pressure, it was constant. Because when your environment gives you no space, you don't recover, you adapt. And that leads to something deeper. If life felt this compressed inside the home, then what did comfort even mean to them?
Comfort didn't mean ease. It didn't mean space, privacy, or relief. It meant something much smaller, something momentary. A full meal instead of a partial one, a quiet night without interruption, a place to rest without being moved. Your expectations change. You don't look for improvement, you look for stability. You don't expect things to get easier, you hope they don't get worse. And this is where the accounts quietly reflect that reality. As written in Matthew 8, someone speaks about following without even having a place to rest consistently, not as an exception, but as a reflection of how fragile stability could be. Shelter existed, but security within it was never guaranteed. And that reveals something deeper. Comfort wasn't a standard, it was a break in pressure. Because when everything around you is limited, even small relief feels significant. Not because it solves anything, but because it interrupts the strain. But they misunderstood something. This wasn't deprivation in their eyes, it was normal. Because when you've never experienced more, you don't measure life by comfort, you measure it by continuity. And that brings everything together. Because if comfort was never expected, then survival wasn't about improving life, it was about maintaining it.
The story was never about comfort. It was about how people lived without it. A home wasn't a place to relax, it was a place to continue. A space where everything overlapped, where rest and work shared the same ground, where life moved forward not because it was easy, but because it had to. And that changes how you see everything. Because when comfort isn't built into life, your priorities shift. You don't chase ease, you protect stability. You don't expand your world, you learn how to function within it. And this is where the deeper meaning begins to surface. Because what looks like lack from the outside was structure from within, a system where survival shaped behavior, expectations, and even relationships. Not ideal, not comfortable, but consistent enough to continue. And that's why these details matter. Not because life was harder, but because it was tighter, more contained, more immediate, less forgiving. And that leaves a question that doesn't stay in the past. Because if they lived without comfort, what have we built ours on? And how much of it could disappear before everything starts to feel the same? If this changed how you see that world, then stay connected. Subscribe, like, and share your thoughts below. Because the more clearly we understand how people lived then, the more clearly we begin to see how we are living now.